Шановні колеги,
Dear colleagues, good morning. We start our working day in Ukraine Crisis Media Center, and we give the floor to Lieutenant Colonel Oleksiy Chernobay, Minister of Defense of Ukraine, spokesperson. Good morning, dear audience. I'm glad to see you at our briefing. The armed forces of Ukraine continue partaking in multinational exercises where they train and practice to NATO standards. These days, at the firing ground Babadag in Romania, the Marines of Ukraine are taking part in the exercises Platinum Lynx 2016 in the framework of rotationally deployed forces in the Black Sea region. During the exercises, the Marines learn best practices, complete combat missions to the NATO standards, and conduct assignments as parts of multinational units. This week, the Air Forces of Ukraine will start partaking in Malta International Air Show 2016 in the town of Lucca in the Republic of Malta. The domestic air vehicles will be represented by fighter aircraft Su-27, Su-27UB, and an airlift Il-76. During this event, Ukrainian aviators will demonstrate flight capabilities of Ukrainian aircrafts, share experiences with flight crews from the other countries, and discuss promising lines of military cooperation. The delegation have departed to this air show already to Malta. It is headed by the commander, Lieutenant General Sergei Drozdov. The military firing ground of high mobility assault forces of Ukraine in Zhytomyr region hosts the exercises for artillery units of paratroopers. Under commandment of the staff of high mobility of assault forces, the paratroopers trained to define data for firing by various methods. An important element of the exercises is sharing experience of using state-of-the-art software for artillery. The exercises are carried out under simulated battlefield conditions. They pass the test on preparing gunfire control devices to operation, define guidance parameters and firing range. Most paratroopers involved in the exercises have combat experience gained during the ATO in Donbass. Their skills help the beginners. According to the planned indicators on the disbursement of funds and provision of housing in 2016, during the first 6 months of this year, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine provided via own construction, reconstruction, and purchase of housing stock 568 apartments to the servicemen in Odessa, Lviv, Ivano-Frankivsk, Zaporizhzhia, Kiev, Donetsk, Zakarpattia, Poltava regions, and in Sumy and Rivne. In particular, nearly 200 flats were provided to ATO combatants. 42 families of deceased ATO combatants also received the flats. During the entire ATO period, the flats were provided to over 600 military men, and 49 families received the flats from the housing stock of the Ministry of Defense in order to maintain the proper condition of the military infrastructure facilities of the Ministry of Defense. The plan of construction and reconstruction and overhauls of military facilities for 2016 have been approved, envisaging the overhauls, construction and reconstruction projects in 32 military units. At the moment, overhauls and reconstructions are ongoing in 100 153 military facilities. Besides that, by the end of the year, it is planned to construct 4 buildings for 668 beds for housing military men who signed contracts with the armed forces in the military communities in Rivne, Vasilkiv, Lviv, and Starichy. The groups responsible for reforming the housing, the Committee of Reforms of the Ministry of Defense, have prepared the draft resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers amending the procedure of disbursement of funds from the state budget for construction and purchase of housing for military men. The draft introduces the standard under which purchase of 1 square meter of flat shall be defined by the lowest price proposed by the bidders. And the provision according to which the list of housing stock is subject to the Ministry of Finance of Ukraine approval have been cancelled. Moreover, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine have finalized the draft law of Ukraine amending the legislation on housing stock for military men and the families of the deceased servicemen in the performance of their military duties. The bill envisages streamlining the procedure of housing provision to the servicemen mobilized for a special period, preserving their rights for housing and creating legal grounds to strengthen social protection of the deceased military men during ATO. We should mention that all legislative and regulatory initiatives of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine are conducted in the cooperation with the Volunteers Council, with which they very efficiently cooperate. Thank you, dear colleagues, at the end of the briefing. The next briefing will be at 12:30.